Today, we are exploring a specific visceral kind of exhaustion. You know the ache, the pressure building in your chest when you are sitting in a boardroom, a family dinner, or a digital battleground, listening to someone speak with absolute, unshakable confidence about something they completely misunderstand. Your brain, wired for logic, instantly maps out the flaws in their argument. You gather your facts, you prepare your reasoning, and you expect the light of truth to wash over their face. But instead of a breakthrough, they blink, double down on their absurdity, and leave you questioning your own sanity. Most people believe their intelligence is their greatest asset in these moments, but the reality is that your intelligence is actually your biggest vulnerability. You are suffering from the intelligence trap, projecting a high-level logical operating system onto a biological machine that simply cannot run it. You assume the world values truth, while the reality is that truth often has no currency in the theater of human ego. Today, we are going to break down the ruthless strategies required to disarm the willfully irrational without ever giving them the gift of your truth. To understand why logic fails, we must look at the hardware. The mind is fundamentally divided into two systems. System 1, which is fast, emotional, and instinctual, and System 2, which is slow, deliberate, and logical. Irrational actors are often prisoners of System 1. They feel an emotion, attach a fast opinion to it, and call it a fact. You, the rational thinker, are trying to use System 2 on them, offering nuance, data, and relative understanding. Therefore, it is a fundamental translation error. You are essentially speaking mathematics to a barking dog. Worse, you are doing all the metabolic work. You are spending immense caloric energy crafting a perfectly reasoned argument, while they are spending zero energy simply refusing to accept it. They don't outsmart you. They outlast you by dragging you into the mud of their own cognitive limitations. This interaction triggers your nervous system's survival alarm because the friction makes you feel unsafe, yet your brain keeps engaging because it's addicted to the moral victory of being right. Why can't they see they're wrong? This is the Dunning-Kruger effect, a cognitive bias where those with the lowest ability possess a hallucinatory level of confidence. But understanding the graph isn't enough. You must understand the gravity of it. Ignorance is not a passive state. It is an active, heavily armored defense mechanism. When you introduce logic to an irrational person, they don't see an opportunity to learn. They see a threat to their ego, and the human ego will burn down the entire world before it admits it is wrong. If you've ever felt like your empathy was actually funding someone else's delusion, you've experienced the arrogance of empathy. You believe you are the savior of the ignorant, but the incompetent often lack the metacognition to even realize they are incompetent. Therefore, trying to forcefully drag them into the light isn't healing them. It's invading their territory, and they will fight you with the ferocity of a wild animal. Arthur Schopenhauer recognized 2 centuries ago that if logic fails and reasoning is a trap, you must change the game. You must stop providing them with friction. Friction, your frustration and your counter-arguments, makes them feel important. It proves to them that their idea is worthy of your time and your anger. Every time you counter their point, you legitimize their delusion. To break the loop, you must deny them that friction. Instead of disagreeing, use a savage strategy. Agree with them so completely and so violently that you push their argument into the realm of pure absurdity. This is the method of reductio ad absurdandum. If a colleague insists that all modern art is a scam and anyone can do it, don't argue technique. Lean in. Tell them they're entirely right, and suggest you both quit your jobs today to become millionaires by Friday, since it's so easy. By accelerating their thought process to its logical, catastrophic conclusion, you force their brain to short-circuit. They have to backpedal and start arguing against themselves just to save face. You didn't outsmart them with logic. You defeated them with the weight of their own premise. We must address the physical cost of these interactions. Cognitive load theory explains that our mental bandwidth is strictly limited. When you interact with a highly irrational person, your brain works overtime trying to predict their unpredictable reactions while suppressing your own frustration. This sustained cognitive taxation slowly degrades your own decision-making abilities. You become irritable, you make poor choices, and you lose your creative edge. You are letting a parasite feed on your intellectual capital. Schopenhauer described this through the porcupine dilemma, creatures trapped between freezing and isolation or being pricked by the quills of others. The intelligent person must master the distance. To engage is to halve your intelligence and double your exhaustion. Therefore, you must stop seeking the moral victory or the concession. Seeking validation from a flawed mind is itself a form of stupidity. Why do you need a blind man to compliment your painting? When the irrational mind has power over you, perhaps they sign your paycheck or hold the key to your promotion, the rules change. A person of low intellect and power is built on a fault line of deep, unacknowledged insecurity. If you display your brilliance, you are not proving your worth. You are holding a mirror up to their inadequacy, and a fool with power will shatter the mirror to avoid looking at the reflection. Look at the military strategist Sima Yi, who executed the submission gambit against his arrogant rival Cao Shuang. He faked a terminal illness, purposely dropping his soup and acting broken to satisfy the regent's ego. Cao Shuang laughed and lowered his defenses because his ego was satisfied. Months later, Sima Yi arose from his bed and seized the empire. Your intelligence is not a badge you wear on your chest. It is a concealed weapon. Feed them the superiority they starve for. Ask them for advice on trivialities and let them correct you. You are not submitting. You are anesthetizing them so you could operate unhindered in the shadows. Since you cannot avoid every irrational person, you must establish a psychological quarantine. You do not bring your authentic self to the table. You bring an avatar. The avatar is polite, it smiles, and it speaks in short, agreeable sentences. Interesting perspective. I see what you mean. Or, that's one way to look at it. The avatar is a mirror reflecting their noise back at them, while your actual mind remains protected behind a fortress of detachment. You are physically present, but intellectually absent. This is a Machiavellian application of philosophy. Give them the illusion of victory, the cheapest toy you can give a fool to keep them quiet, while you pour the concrete for your own objectives. Kill the guilt that tells you this is manipulative. You don't owe your vulnerability to an intellectual predator. Every hour you spend in a circular debate is an hour stolen from your own empire. Irrational actors are energy vampires. They do not produce, they only consume. They drag you into endless debates because they have nothing better to do with their time. Your time is expensive. Theirs is worthless. When you engage, you are trading gold for dirt. Schopenhauer advised a radical departure from the instinct to educate. Use strategic irony. When a premise is truly ridiculous, do not fight it. Say, what you are proposing is so extraordinary, it completely transcends my poor capacity to understand it. I must defer to your judgment. The irrational person will puff out their chest in pride, while any observer with a fraction of intellect will hear the dripping sarcasm. You exit the conversation without expending a single calorie of energy. The transition from intelligence to power occurs when you stop caring if they know you are right. Intelligence is knowing you are right. Power is winning the objective while they think they won the argument. You must accept the world as it is, dominated by irrationality and hostile to truth. You do not complain about the storm, you seek high ground. When you know people operate on ego, you use that ego to steer them. You become the invisible hand. They think they're making the decisions, but every choice they make is within the parameters you silently constructed. Accept their terminal limitations. You stop trying to upgrade them and start managing them like heavy machinery, keeping your hands out of the gears and staying behind the safety lines. The moment you let go of the desire to be understood by those incapable of understanding, the weight lifts, the exhaustion vanishes, replaced by calm, clinical observation. You see the cognitive biases and the Dunning-Kruger effect in real time, and because it is predictable, it becomes manageable. You are no longer a participant in their chaos. You are the observer of it. This is the cold, sharp reality that sets you free. You will never be heard by a fool again because you will never again give them the authority to judge your reality. Your intelligence is no longer a tool for their education. It is a weapon for your own elevation. Keep it sharp, keep it hidden, and use it only when it serves your scent. Remember, the lion does not lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. You have the blueprints. Now go build your empire in silence.